There we go. All right. The magic of live TV. I'll tell you, I guess my 4th of July was a little extended there. Welcome again, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza here on 12 Ounce Sports, as I mentioned, and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Great to be with you here on this Wednesday, July the 10th. That means we're about 3 weeks from training camp for the Detroit Lions, and we're right in the middle of the midsummer, the dog days of summer. I hope everybody here in Michigan that's watching, I hope you're safe. I hope you survive the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. Things we've never seen really here in the state of Michigan. A little bit of remnants of a hurricane, but we got quite a bit of rain. But it looks like it's heading away from us. So that means clear skies and a lot of fun talking sports with you here tonight. We're scheduled to be joined here shortly by a great voice of Detroit sports, Joe Chapp from JC Sports. He's been on with us before. We're going to talk a little bit of a hodgepodge, if you will, of all the goings on in the world of the Detroit sports, the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings, and the Pistons even busy this year, making some moves. Another new head coach, JB Bickerstaff, the new head man of the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham getting the max deal. The Lions, as we mentioned, 3 weeks away from training camp, and I got to tell you, I have never seen so much excitement, anticipation, call it whatever you want, but this is kind of uncharted waters for a lot of us here as Lions fans, and so much going on. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. So, again, want to remind you that tonight's broadcast brought to you, as always, by tickets.12ouncesports.com. You want to go watch the Tigers or the Lansing Lugnuts or whoever, make sure you go to tickets.12ouncesports.com. We are a ticket broker. You won't see some of those bigger fees you see on some of the other secondary markets. That's tickets.12ouncesports.com. And also, we want to let you know that the official copy of the Captain Lou Extravaganza and all of our shows on the network is Javi Coffee. Go to javicoffee.com if you like instant coffee, or if you're a regular coffee drinker and you want to try something new and quick, it's the place to go. Javi Coffee, regular, decaf, Irish cream, French vanilla, salted caramel, mint chocolate. Oh my gosh, the flavors, so many of them. And when you go to checkout, make sure you use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. That is javicoffee.com. All right, without any further ado, let's bring him in. He is not an up and comer. He's already one of the most busy guys I've ever seen on social media when it comes talking sports. He is Joe Chapp from JC Sports. Joe, welcome back to the show. How's your summer going, my friend?
It's pretty good. Now we got to go back into this whole ordeal of like constant news every day, pretty much for until next June.
Isn't it crazy? And you know, I'm going to kind of do a rapid fire with you here, covering all the sports. It's crazy, Joe. I have, number one, obviously the Lions. You know, I don't know about you, but they haven't been winning in the last 30 years.
Yep.
The level of excitement and anticipation for the Lions has been absolutely incredible. It's uncharted waters for us.
Well, I never thought I would be here, to be honest. Like, I never thought like they would actually be in the predicament where you'd be like, you know what? It's not outlandish to think that they are a Super Bowl contender, you know?
Yeah.
And so like that's what it comes down to. So it's been I've had that page for the Detroit Lions news for a long time, and like the amount of garbage football that I've had to talk about and everything, it's just been, one thing after another. I mean, you go from Martin Mayhew to you think you're gonna get better with Bob Quinn. No, because then Matt Patricia comes in. So it's like, man, I didn't think there'd be a spot in time where you'd go, okay, the Lions are the only chance for the city of Detroit to get a real championship shot,
Oh, 100%, and they came oh so close. And, obviously I was around in 91 when they went to the title game against the Redskins, and you could tell that was men playing with boys. The Redskins were so good that game.
Yeah, the Joe Gibbs teams and
Oh
everything.
gosh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we had Barry Sanders and, Herman Moore and all that, Chris Spielman, but it was like night and day. And They were just above everybody. And then this past year, obviously we all know how it ended in the fourth quarter, but Detroit is so close, and I
Yeah,
just
it
think
just
that's
it
the
kind of
difference.
I don't know if it reminds you of this, but like it kind of reminds you of like when the Red Wings went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the New Jersey Devils, and like
Yes.
they were outclassed totally. And then the
Mhm.
next year they go to play Colorado and they lose in the
Yeah.
Western Conference Final. So they needed to kind of lose. I think you need to lose to learn how to win in the playoffs. A lot of people just don't go from winning and losing in the playoffs to automatically going right to the Super Bowl. Like it just doesn't happen that way.
Boy, that's a great analogy. It's like the Pistons when they had to get through Boston and then the Lakers
Yeah,
and
that's another one. Yeah, you had to get through Boston and then you go through the Lakers and you're like,
yeah.
man,
Great,
you're like,
great, great analogy. They got to learn how to win, which leads into my next, I think I asked you this when you were on the first time.
yeah.
How will they play as winners? How can they handle the expectations? And now it's going to be even brighter. It's going to be fun for us to watch. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun to see how they handle expectations. But like like one of the things I'm kind of learning about this team is like they don't really shy away from the expectations. I think that's a good thing. Also, like if you think about it from this spectrum, they don't really talk a lot of talk. Like they kind of let their play do the talk, and I like that too. I just feel like if you go out there and you act like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna beat your ass," that doesn't do nothing. But, you know, you see that they have the right mindset. It kinda has that championship mindset we've seen from other Detroit sports teams where it's all business, no talk. Just go
Yeah.
do your stuff and don't worry about anything. And that's good because you don't get that in today's sports landscape anywhere.
No, no, there's no nobility and humility. That's for sure. And hey, they're going to be they're going to be tested right out of the chute. When is the last time you've seen, where they played? They've got the Rams, they got
Yep.
Tampa right out of the chute, and then they've got who I think is obviously lately Detroit's kryptonite being Seattle.
Yeah.
3 out of their
Well
first 4 games.
Well, Seattle's going through a little bit of a rebuild, to be honest. I think they'll
Yeah.
be taking a step back, but yeah, they are Detroit's kryptonite, but unfortunately, Pete Carroll isn't there no more, so
Well,
it's now Mike McDonald. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that first 4 games is just kind of tough. Like I think it's you got LA, Tampa, Seattle, and then Dallas, right?
yeah.
So right off the top of my head, so yeah, so it's like you got 2 playoff teams that you played against in the playoffs, and then you go to Dallas to right the wrongs of last year. That's pretty fun
Oh,
to start.
yeah. Well, here's an omen that I want you to keep in mind, and it's funny because when talking with Randy Cross on my other podcast, the year they went to the Super Bowl and won in '84, the year before that, they played the Lions and beat them and then lost in the championship game. And then the next year, their first 2 opponents were the Lions and the Redskins. And so a little bit of similarities there. I'm going on anything to try to
No,
get the Lions to the top of the mountain. So let's keep
no,
that.
it's fun because I think that's a similarity you can draw. Like I don't know. I think there's a couple of similarities. Like I think a couple years ago, I think it was before the Chiefs won their Super Bowl. They went and played the 2 teams that they played in the playoffs, and then
Yeah.
that was the year they went to the Super Bowl. So anything could happen, obviously, but this team is really poised to be pretty damn good too.
And I have to ask you, it's great that, when you're good, they want to stay. And they were able to get Sewell and St. Brown and Goff all signed, and
Yeah,
it's just that just warms my heart seeing that they got the core there. You hear all the talk about the Cowboys and all that crap that goes on there.
yeah.
These guys, they're signed, they're ready. I
Well,
just so fired up.
it was smart when they did it. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like it was smart when they did it. Like I tell people all the time, like especially like on my own podcast and on the YouTube or whatever, and even in person, I'll be like, look, when they got him signed is the most important thing because Jared Goff he's going to come under Trevor Lawrence, who he's a better quarterback than. He's a better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. I believe. I know some people have a problem with that. They think Tua is a better quarterback, which I don't, but whatever. He's
Mhm.
gonna come on. He's gonna come under Dak Prescott when he gets his deal, but I don't know what Dallas is doing right now. And then Sewell, he got his money before. You got a lot of left tackles that are inching to get some money, so he gets in before them. And St. Brown got in before Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, like all the big wide receivers, CD Lamb. So I mean, he only lasted as a number one wide receiver for like a day. AJ Brown took his spot.
Exactly. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy the way money moves in the NFL, but it's also a testament to like knowing how much time you have. I think that was a good thing by Brett Holmes. He really didn't wait for the whole off season. Like he just did his thing. Like there's a lot of general managers that could learn a lesson from that in terms of negotiation and when to negotiate.
So I haven't had you on since the draft. We'll close it with our Lions discussion. What did you think of the draft? What do you think of Rakestraw and Arnold? I'm excited for them, and I kind of like the linemen they got with their fourth pick of the draft.
Oh, Wingo or Mahogany?
Mahogany, yeah,
Yeah, Mahogany is a good. Yeah, I
yeah.
love their draft from every standpoint. Like Arnold and Rakestraw, I loved because I watched both of them in the SEC, and I thought that they were just totally great players to watch, and they were.
Mhm.
Arnold's more of a kind of like he's a physical guy. He can be physical, but he's really technical with his scheme. Rakestraw is just a guy that he likes to press you, he likes to get on you, which is good because there's a lot of wide receivers that you're gonna play in this division that don't like that. Like DJ Moore is one of them. Rome Odunze is another one because when he got pressed by Will Johnson in the national championship game, a little bit of a different Rome Odunze than we've seen before anything else. So that little rivalry will be great to see. I loved the Wingo pick. The Wingo pick
Yeah.
was just phenomenal. I thought because I watched him at LSU and to get that number 18 at LSU is a rarefied air. It's like kind of like you get the one at Michigan or something like that. But yeah, so I liked all of them. So I think he fell out, but yeah, I like the Wingo pick. I like the Mahogany pick. Um, the Manu pick was interesting too. It was really interesting. So, oh, you're back.
Yes, I don't know what happened here. It's been flickering here with this weather up here in Lansing, so
Oh,
bear
you're
with
yeah.
me.
See, no, you're good. See, because we had that wicked weather earlier, and I was actually doing a Zoom meeting with someone that was on the other side of the state, and just he lost power. I was like, well, I don't know what you want me to do, man.
It's all good, man. Joe Chapp's joining us from JC Sports. Follow him on Facebook, and you got to follow all of his podcasts and everything. This is go time for him now. Like he said,
Mhm.
it's going to be until next June before he gets a respite. All right, we're gonna go across the street, if you will. Our Tigers, it's crazy. Jekyll and Hyde. Last night they lose 9-8 in 10 innings, come back
Talk.
from a 6-0 lead.
Oh
The
my
night
god.
before, a 1-0 shutout. They just can't put it together. My first question, it's the $1 million question, Joe. Are they gonna trade Scooble, and are you for it if they do?
Well, if you trade Schoolboy, you better get a really good host of players. Like you better get like that really big package that like it better include an MLB player, like a roster player that's from someone. Do I think they're gonna trade Schoolboy? No, but you gotta get Schoolboy signed. So that's the main goal for that. Um, but this Tigers team is interesting because I don't think they're that far away. Like I really
Yeah.
don't think they're that far away. I do have a lot of problems with the way Scott Harris managed this
Oh,
offseason. You think about it like this will make you sick, Lou. 12 million. You got 25 million in two players, Mark Canna and Kenta Maeda. Imagine if you spent that 25 million on like a guy like Cody Bellinger, Matt
yeah.
Chapman, JD Martinez. Like it's like okay, like it's not like Matt Chapman went to a contender in the Giants. Cody Bellinger went to the Cubs. Like okay, there's a little familiarity there, but JD Martinez went to the Mets, and they're not contenders either. So
No.
this whole like thing was, oh, they went to contenders. I don't see a contender on there, but I think they have the pitching
Yeah.
obviously help them. Chris Fetter is a great pitching coach, and I think that like they've always had pitching. So if they could sign Scooble, they can get something for Jack Flaherty. They're gonna bring up, Jackson Jobe at some point this year,
Yeah.
and I think they're gonna be rolling. But honestly, like they're not that far away. If they trade Scooble, I think it will set them back a little bit. But if they're not gonna trade Scooble now, you gotta sign him now.
Yeah, you gotta lock them up. I agree. If they trade Scooble, I not that I can watch the Tigers up here because we have Comcast, so, with, the whole Diamond Sports Group and whatnot, I got to watch them on FS1. I didn't know they were on the other night. I got to see the ninth inning, but I'm done. I'm done until either Hinch or Harris gets let go because Scooble is, to me, he's a cornerstone that you have to build on.
Yep.
I mean, let's face it, Joe, hitting in general in Major League Baseball is down right now. You could have the batting champion at 300,
Well,
and it's just a different animal right
I
now.
looked at it today, and I was amazed at the baseball averages. Like I thought, like okay, back in the
Yeah,
day, a 300 batting average was like the average, right? Like
yeah, yeah,
your good players, your elite players are at like 323, 340. You
yeah.
would see those. Its average is 242. Like we're near the Mendoza line, so it's like,
It's
what is going
crazy.
on? I played baseball all my life, and I never realized how bad hitting is across the board, and I don't know what it is, and I don't think baseball knows what it is either, to be honest. Like they're trying to figure out. They're like, why is it hitting down? Like this is, but
Well,
I do think it's more. I think analytics has hurt baseball a lot.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
that I think
amen.
analytics and like okay, you could use analytics. I like analytics for a little bit. It's a tool. It's not like the whole measure, but when you use it as like the whole thing,
Yeah.
oh boy, like that's like the launch angle, the hit, the exit velocity. It's like why don't we just play baseball? Okay, like
Right on.
it doesn't
Right
need to
on.
be. It doesn't need to be. It's like hockey. Like hockey's starting to become this way too. Like you
Yeah.
got teams like going like, "Oh, we gotta be good with the Fennec and the Corsi," and I'm like, "Guys, let's just think about
Puck in the net.
the regular stats, like put the puck in the net, shots on goal, like what?"
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I put up a stat on the show. Seattle, of course, leading the West. Team batting average of 220, and they're going to strike out. They're on pace to strike out 1,700 times, and as a team. And if you'd have told me that 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I said you're crazy. There's no way they could survive.
No.
Joe Chapp joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Subscribe to both our channels for all of our content, all of our programming. Joe, let's go to the ice. The Red Wings. I think everybody kind of got hooked into the Steven Stamkos sweepstakes. Obviously, they didn't get them.
Yep.
The Preds got them. I got to tell you though, I'm super excited that Kane's back, and I
Mhm.
love the Tarasenko signing. It's a great price, and the contract length is really good in my opinion.
I like their off season. I know this is like hyperbole. I know people are like, "What do you mean you like their off season?" Like I think Kane's gonna be good. I think
Yeah.
getting Kane back and him having an off season to like prepare and actually like get ready for hockey instead of rehabbing an injury is
Hmm.
good for him. I think Vladimir Tarasenko coming to a situation like this is good for him. I think obviously going to Florida, you get buried in the third line or the fourth line. Sometimes
Yeah.
depending on the matchup. But I wanted Steven Stamkos, but when I heard the Nashville Predators were in on Stamkos, I said there is no effing way we're getting Stamkos. There's just no way. Because then you think about it, like they paid $8 million for Stamkos, which might be a little bit of overpay. Like a lot of people were saying he was going to get 7.5, 8 maybe with a certain team like Toronto or New York or some of the places that he was
Mhm.
mentioned to go. But then when you add in the no tax state, like all those no tax states, like I don't know what the NHL is going to do about this, but they need to do something about this. Like if you were to get Steven Stamkos in Detroit, you're going to have to pay $9 million
Yeah.
because the $8 million that he makes in Nashville is not taxed, so he gets all for himself pretty much.
Mhm.
There's no jock tax like they have in Michigan. There's no, I mean, Washington is the same way. They paid 6.5 for Chandler Stevenson, which I didn't think Chandler Stevenson was going to be a $6.5 million player in 6 years. Like I thought, like maybe 5.5. Like maybe you can get him for 4 years. And I was like, when I saw that contract, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So I was glad.
Yeah.
I was glad they stayed away from some of these ridiculous contracts.
Oh, I agree. And my question to you is the goalie situation.
Yeah.
I after it's all panned out, I have to tell myself they've got two young goaltenders in the wings. Kosa, I think, could potentially, I think he still might be a year out. And I've seen Augustine play at Michigan State. And I think this guy could be something in a few years. I think he's got 1 year left, in my opinion, at MSU.
Yep.
And so I don't mind the quote unquote bridge. I like Cam Talbot, and we'll see what Campbell does if he even plays. You got Husso.
Yep.
It'll sort itself out.
They can trade one too. That's probably what
Yeah.
they're gonna do to kind of you know give themselves some room. I think Cam Talbot is definitely a upgrade over some Husso. I mean, Husso hasn't stayed
Yeah.
healthy the last couple years,
Right
so
on.
that's what they're banking on. But it was interesting. You brought up Augustine and Kosa, and I was talking to a guy that I know who was a scout in the NHL, and he told me that these are two of the best goalie prospects in quite some time. And he said that like Augustine playing at Michigan State is good for his development because you game in and game out, he's going against pros. Like you go
Mhm.
play you go in the Big Ten, you're gonna play Minnesota, you're gonna play Notre Dame, you're gonna play Michigan, you're gonna play Wisconsin, you're gonna play, you're gonna keep going around and around playing all these good Penn State's another team that has some good talent. I think they have a freshman that's coming in that's he could have went in the CHL draft and he said, Nope, I'm going to college, play college hockey. So that's where you're gonna like this. The guy said, like, basically, these college goalies are ready more often than these kids from the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, which is like where Costa came from,
Mhm.
WHL, OHL. Those guys coming in there, they need a little bit of time. But these kids coming in from college, they're ready. And like you look at Augustine, like it's a guy who's won a gold medal at the junior championships. So you look at that and you're like, this kid can play at the highest levels against the highest competition, and he does a pretty damn good job. And Kosa, I don't think he's a year away. I think he can come up this year
Okay.
from what everyone's saying. Like I think the guy I was talking to, he said like he could see Kosa started out in Grand Rapids for like 30 games, and then him come up to Detroit because he's that close. Like they
Wow.
say that he's making that. And then he's, down the line, like he said, like there's a possibility, like you could have Kosa and you could have like a Boston type goaltending scenario where you have two of the best goalies, and then one of them gets traded for a haul, like
Yeah.
because he's going to be a young goalie. Like in Boston, Yomark, which is the guy who got traded to Ottawa, he's not a spring chicken. He's an older goaltender, but
Mhm.
these guys will be in their prime. So it's like, all right, cool.
Hey, you know what? I'm okay with it. It's we live in a society right now where if you don't win in 3 years, get rid of everybody. I understand it's been a while, and I was spoiled because, I lived through the 25 years of making the
Yep.
playoffs, but I also remember what it was like when they had to give away a car to get
Yeah.
people in the
The
Joe
Dead
Louis
Wings.
Arena back
The
40
Dead
years
Wings.
ago. So, I mean, you it'll take time, and I do trust the process with the Red Wings. They're so close, and boy, once they break through, watch out. They get that experience. Who knows?
I just told people like this, like, think about it like this. When Yzerman took over, Nielsen was under contract. Franz Nielsen was under contract. I think you had the remaining contract for Stephen Weiss. You had
Yeah.
a bunch of other albatross
Oh my
contracts, like
goodness.
Jonathan Erickson at 7.5. Like, there was a bunch of contracts around the books that you're like, "Holy hell." And then and then you look at the prospect pool when Yzerman took over, like, think about it like this. Philip Zadina was your best prospect when he came in. Say that again. Philip Zadina was your best prospect as
Yikes.
an NHL, it's like an NHL prospect, and he's a free agent right now. And San Jose didn't even want him. And San Jose's in this rebuild. You think they would like want a young player with some promising potential, but no.
Yeah. Wow, it's crazy. All right. The fourth of our four majors, the Pistons.
Oh man.
Oh boy, it's first of all, it just you talk about a con man, and God bless him. God bless Monty Williams, his agent, for getting Doris and Weaver to sign him to that loot. The guy's got to be sitting somewhere drinking a pina colada and just loving life. Here we go again. What's your? I know it's super early,
Right.
but I I don't know anything about Trajan Langdon. I mean, I know he played at Duke and this and that. I know he's very smart. He's got a high IQ.
Yep.
Boy, you talk about having to clean up a mess. You know, what I do like is that he was able to get some veterans in with some of these guys.
Yeah.
Getting Tobias Harris back, I think, was big.
Yeah. No, what I do like about the whole situation is like, okay, like I think Trajan Langdon's just hearing him speak is a lot different than Troy
Yeah.
Weaver and his and like it's like, all right, man, like all right, let's stop it. But like, you got like I think the Pistons have actually had a pretty damn good offseason. Like if you think about it
Yeah.
like this, like you had to space the floor with Cade, and I feel like Troy Weaver just collected big bodies like they were, those PEX containers, and like
Yeah.
and like he just collected them and like Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley.
Hmm.
I mean, just go down the line. Like there was like 8 big men. Like, okay, you don't win in today's NBA with totally big men. Obviously, you do need big men, but you're not going to win like that. You need
Mhm.
shooting. Like the 2 teams in the NBA finals proved it. They proved it. Like Boston proved that, I think they shot 3-point shots more than any other team in NBA history. And you got the Mavericks, who are the Western Conference. They're the second best. Like they were the second most shooting 3-point team. So you need spacing. That's why they got Malik Beasley. That's why they got Tobias Harris. They brought Fontecchio back, who I thought they should have brought back before that, but they were like going through that GM change or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like what they're doing. Like they got some veterans in there. They're gonna be all right. I think like it's just about getting Cade better. Like that's what I think. They just signed him to a max extension, so
Yeah.
they're locked in now. So it's about how do we get the most potential out of him? How do we get the most potential out of Jalen Duren? How do we get the most potential out of um Jaden Ivey? And
Yeah.
then you look at that whole dynamic, and then you bring in JB Bickerstaff, who is familiar with the Detroit Pistons because he was in the same division as the Pistons.
Mhm.
And it's a guy who values defense, and that's another way you win in the NBA. Like I think a lot of people get spooked about, oh, it's about offense in the NBA. No, it's about defense. It's always been
Mhm.
about defense. Like even like the Golden State Warriors, as much as they scored, they were still a pretty damn good defensive team. So that's still how you win in the NBA.
And I would love for the Pistons to be relevant again. I don't, I got to be honest with you. I don't watch them
Right. No,
anymore.
yeah, that I know a lot of people who don't watch them because it's not a good product to watch.
Right. And
So
and
it's like, what are you gonna waste your time with a team that's a waste of time to begin with? Like, I didn't
eh,
watch them. I didn't
yeah,
really watch them. I just said
I
I'll catch the box scores. Like, that's what I'll do.
there you go. Great point. And that's, my son is a diehard NBA fan, and so I keep an eye on it just to kind of converse with him. And he loves the Pistons, and you know, it's good for Detroit to have obviously all the teams to be relevant. But it's like you said at the top here. Who would have thought that going into last year, the Lions would be the only team that's got a legitimate shot at winning it all? I mean, the Red Wings are on the come, but
Yeah. I,
it's
I think I think it's the Red Wings, and then you got the 2 teams that we just talked about back to back,
yeah,
the Tigers and the Tigers and the Pistons. Like one of them's gonna get out of this funk,
yeah,
but they need smart moves to be made. Like there's things that have to be done roster wise that they need to get fixed. And so I
yeah,
just the Pistons have been. I always tell people all the time, like the Pistons are one of the unique franchises in the NBA because they're not like LA, they're not Boston, but they're
yeah.
still one of the most historic franchises in the NBA. They're one of the only ones that have more than one championship.
Well, what they're going to need I think is kind of like what happened to the Tigers, 20 years ago when they were so bad. They got to get a somewhat of a high profile free agent.
Yeah,
God bless Tobias Harris. I think he's a start. But when Detroit got Pudge Rodriguez to
they
come to,
took off.
to catch, that was huge.
Yeah,
And, he was a leader. They need somebody that hopefully Harris is like that because, let's face it, Detroit is not a destination city when you can go to LA or Miami or wherever. And like you said too, state tax. That is
yeah.
such an obstacle now with the amount of money these guys are making.
It is an obstacle, and it's like I know politicians, okay? So, like, on both sides of the aisle, and they always say, like, "Well, what you vote for is what you get," and I'm like, "Well, then do something." You know what I'm
Right
saying?
on.
But
Right on.
it's funny
Oh
because,
boy.
like, I mean, like, we're in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
So we are well versed in the tax stratosphere because we get taxed for gas, we get taxed for this, we get taxed for
Oh
that.
boy.
It's like, okay, all right, that plays a role into a free agent coming here when they can go right to Texas, they can go right to Tennessee, because it won't be long before baseball gets a team in Nashville. That's coming, like,
Mhm. Yeah,
down the pipe. Like, there's
for
people in
sure.
Nashville, there's people in Nashville already planning for a ballpark. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
all right,
coming.
yeah. So is Las
Last
Vegas
thing,
too.
last thing, my gosh, this half hour's flown by already. It always does. So I don't know how much you follow this, but are you ready for this so-called new and improved Big Ten season with all these new teams coming?
This is going to be one of the most interesting Big Ten seasons I've ever seen because obviously you got USC coming in, Oregon coming in, and I think teams really need to get if you're not well versed in how good Oregon is, you might need to look at it.
Yeah.
Like they are a dandy. Like I was looking at Oregon's roster and they got like I was Matt Miller had his prospects for next year.
Hmm.
I just do it because I want to see who in college football do I really want to watch, because there's
Sure.
so many damn games on. And Oregon had the top left tackle, one of the top wide receivers, one of the top defensive ends, one of the top linebackers, one of the top corners. I'm like, what the hell? Like
They're going to
Oregon,
be good.
they're gonna come in here and like people think that Ohio State's gonna come, is gonna win the Big Ten. Oregon might change that because Oregon has some dogs. Now they have Dylan Gabriel coming back.
Hmm.
As a quarterback. They have Dante Moore as well, kid from Detroit. And I just
Yeah.
think Oregon's gonna be they're gonna be tough as nails to defend. And I think that you got it's the Big Ten's weird because I think you got a bunch of teams that have no shot in hell to win anything, like the Washington who's rebuilding, the
Yeah.
Indiana, Northwesterns, and then you got these guys in the middle that I'm kind of there's a couple teams that I'm like kind of like okay they can if they get the right mixture they could be pretty good. Nebraska got Raiola's kid, the quarterback, and
Hmm.
from all the people in Nebraska, they're talking about him as like a legitimate like guy. And then you got Aiden Childs and at MSU that could be good. Like there's so
Uh,
much uncertainty with this whole Big Ten. It's like, all right, well let's see what happens. But like even Michigan, like Michigan is a defending national champion. I don't know what to make of them. Like
I don't know either. It is
they don't have a
great,
quarterback right
great
now.
point.
I know they're gonna have a great defense, like, I know that for sure. Will
Mhm.
Johnson, Mason Graham, but who's their quarterback? Because you don't win in college football without a quarterback, like,
No.
you just don't.
You brought up a player and a team, and everybody that knows me and watches me knows that I bleed maize and blue. But I'm telling you what, take the over at 5 for Michigan State. First
Yeah.
year with a new coach and a quarterback like Aiden Childs, they're
Yeah,
gonna.
and they got the kid from the center from Oregon State, who is one of
Yeah,
the top centers in the country, and then the top tight end, Jake Veling, I think he was, like, 3rd on Matt Miller's board, so that was probably pretty cool, but
yeah,
they got pieces. I mean, I look at this whole middle of the Big Ten and I go, okay, Minnesota could be decent, Nebraska could be decent, Michigan State could surprise some people,
yeah.
and then you got a USC who I think is on name alone. People are saying that's gonna come in the Big Ten and do some things, and I'm like,
Oh.
I
I
mean,
can't wait, Joe. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I can't wait for them to put USC in a November game, either in Ann Arbor, East Lansing, Happy Valley,
Columbus.
or Columbus. Do you think
Eh,
that'll ever happen?
oh yeah, that'll happen. They'll
I
they'll
hope
eventually
so.
they'll eventually do that. I think this year they kind of like said, all right, we're gonna ease you in with your
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
schedule. But I think if you look at USC, like they're eventually gonna have to come north in November. Like that's just the way it's gonna go. I think they gave them an easy schedule because they lost a lot of players, and they're like,
yeah.
all right, we'll ease you in here. You'll be fine. You'll have a nice schedule that's gonna suit you well. It's like I don't know, man. USC coming north is a different dynamic, but it's interesting because like I look at Michigan, right, and then you look at their schedule, and it's a tough schedule. They got Texas, Oregon,
Yep.
like those are like Texas. I mean, I know people like they lost a lot with like Xavier Worthy and some of the guys that they had, but I mean they got some good defenders coming back too. So
Yeah,
it's
they're
like
gonna be
man,
tough.
that will be the game that I can't wait to watch against Michigan with Texas and Michigan. That's gonna be great. Just because Texas
Yeah.
is coming north, like how often do they come north and play in Ann Arbor?
September 7th, baby. Can't
Not
wait for that.
that
That's gonna be a fun.
Texas never really comes north, and no Southern teams comes north. So
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be great.
you hope with
Joe,
the new
tell us,
you hope with the new
tell us.
college football playoff that this will change where they have like the Southern teams coming north. That's what I want to see. So
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be fun, and that's the other thing. I'm sure we'll have you on again later on in the year to talk about the playoff. But I think I can't wait for that. 12 teams.
that's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Oh gosh, can't wait for that. Tell us, Joe, where we can find you, what you got going on. You got so many irons in the fire. Kind of give us a synopsis where we can find your work.
I'm Facebook. I got Red Alert podcast, which is a Red Wings podcast. I got the Detroit Lions News podcast, which is you can find on Facebook. All of it's under the JC Sports YouTube page. So if you go there, you can find it all. And then JC Sports on Facebook and Instagram and wherever. And then I'm on Twitter too. I'm trying to get back on the Twitter because I feel like a lot of people are on Twitter still. So I took a break from it because I was getting a little bit. I kept getting dive bombed by these ads, so I was like, all right, I'm done. So I'm
It
back on it,
happens
but
on there. Well, Joe, this has been a real treat, man. 38 minutes, whatever it's been, has flown by. Keep up the great work, man. I love reading your stuff. I love listening to you.
I
Thanks a
appreciate it.
bunch. Thanks a bunch for coming on, and look forward to talking to you real soon.
All right, see you then.
All right. Joe Chapp from JC Sports, the Detroit connection right there. All things Detroit sports, Red Wings, Lions, Pistons, Tigers, like we mentioned. He's got it all. It's a great read. JC Sports on Facebook, JC Sports on his YouTube channel. A lot of interesting things there. And he's your guy that you want to keep up with all the latest news. He's on it with all Detroit, anything in Detroit sports. All right, we're going to take a break. We come back. We got more. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza, and it's live right here on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Well, you caught me off guard on that one. Welcome back, everybody. Our newest sponsor, Simple, 12ouncesports.com/simple. I was watching the ad, all of a sudden, hey, what's going on here? Again, thanks to Joe Chapp from JC Sports joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza here on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Also, we are brought to you by Javi Coffee, the official copy of the Captain Lou Sports entourage, if you will, of the Captain Lou Sports Network, and of course, Captain Lou's championship years in sports history. I want to just take a moment to thank Steve Finnemore, the coach that came on yesterday on our broadcast. We're highlighting 2004 this month, and we talked about the Go to Work Detroit Pistons. That will be available on our podcast on Apple and iTunes starting tomorrow, and we'll have replays. Just check out my Twitter feed for the times for the replays of that show, and we'll replay this Captain Lou Extravaganza again this week as well. So make sure you check us out on Twitter and on Facebook. And again, all of the social media outlets that follow us here on 12 Ounce Sports. And of course, the Captain Lou Sports Network, Captain Lou Extravaganza. We're everywhere. We're finishing what we started right here on 12 Ounce Sports. And again, happy to be with you. We're going to take another break. We come back. We'll finish things up right here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Can't say it enough. 12ouncesports.com/tickets. Like you said, we are a ticket broker and we don't charge those fees that you see on some of the other sites for all the games that you want to go to. And there's going to be a bunch this year. We talked about the Lions. We're going to have tickets for them, the Red Wings, the Pistons, the Tigers, and of course, college football, Michigan and Michigan State. We talked about them with Joe Chapp. Again, watch out for Michigan State and Aiden Childs. They're not going to go to the playoff, but that over-under for wins is at 5. And to me, that's like taking candy from a baby. Take the over on that one. I'm just book it right now. Go to BetUS, the over-under, and that is 5. Don't hesitate. That's the Captain Lou lock of the year right there. Speaking of that, one of the things that we're bringing back here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza is going to be the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge coming up once football season starts here in about, 2 months, I think it is, to opening weekend. Our Lions taking on the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football. Can't wait for that. The Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge, how that works is we take 6 games each week, 3 college and 3 pro against the spread. What your job is you have to beat me on those games against the spread. You just send me your picks. If you do beat me, you're in the drawing at the end of the year. We will have great prizes. We'll have a Visa gift card in there. We'll have all kinds of great stuff. And it's bigger and better than ever. We've done it before. It's back just like we are here for football season on 12 Ounce Sports. It's going to be huge. So, again, that's the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. And again, we'll promote that here throughout the month of August as well. Football season's just around the corner. I don't want to wish the summer away. The weather's been great. I'm still going to the lake in a couple of weeks for a little vacation. Can't wait for that. We always do that. My bride and I and our family get together, and it's a rocking good time. But after that, it's full court press time getting ready for football, college and pro, and you name it. It is. Just can't wait for it to get here. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially with all the anticipation for the Detroit Lions. But one of the things I want to talk about tonight, we have our ACHA Power Play, which will be back in the fall again for its 9th season on the network, on the Captain Lou Sports Network, and of course, here on 12 Ounce Sports. The ACHA Power Play, we talk about the American Collegiate Hockey Association, the non-NCAA Hockey Association, going to be in their 33rd year, I believe. But they participate in the World University Hockey Games every other year. And this coming up in 25 in January, they're going to be in Torino, Italy. And they named the head coaches. And they've got 2 fantastic head coaches that are going to be leading the men's and the women's team in the World University Games. Adrian College's Division I defending national champion Bulldogs, Gary Astalis, he's been there for 8 years, I believe. He's got a record like 235, 24, and 6, some ungodly amount like that. He's going to be leading the men's team. He was overseas 2 years ago leading the team to the gold in the games over in Czechoslovakia. He's going to be over in Italy. And then Lindsay Ellis, the head coach of Arizona State's women's team. they had a great run to the semifinals in the women's tournament and women's D1. She's going to be leading the women's squad. So they're going to be there towards the end of January. So congratulations to them. Honors well deserved as they're going to start, getting ready for that. Hockey season's going to start for them in a couple of months as well. And with that, we will have our 9th year of the ACHA Power Play. And that'll be here starting out every other Tuesday night. But it'll be the road to St. Louis in 2025 again, with a lot of ACHA programming right here on 12 Ounce Sports. All right, as we mentioned, again, thanks to Joe Chapp from JC Sports for joining us. Some great conversation as always. Check them out, JC Sports, on their YouTube channel and, of course, on Facebook with all Detroit sports coverage. Hey, I got to ask you a question. We've got a couple of things coming up here in the month of July. First of all, we've got the All-Star game coming up next week. Has it lost its luster to you at all? Are you going to watch the game? I've seen they're promoting it a little bit, but it just, I don't know. I saw where they've got these goofy uniforms again. They started out with goofy uniforms in Major League Baseball. Why can't they go back to the individual uniforms for those, and like it used to be in the 70s? And but are you going to watch the game? Are you just going to watch the home run derby? I mean, or is that even watered down? These all-star games are a shell of what they used to be. They don't play defense in the basketball one. Obviously, they don't have football anymore. And hockey, the opening, the skills competition is better, as I think it is in basketball. I mean, is it just going to be like softball for baseball? They're not, obviously, I don't know. Are you going to watch it? That's my question. I don't know if I'm going to be brutally honest with you. I think I'm going to kind of just pay more attention to reading up on who's going to go where at the trade deadline, because it's coming. And of course, the big question here in the Detroit area in Michigan is Skubal going? Are they going to trade for him? The Dodgers lost another starting pitcher to the disabled list. They've got, I think, 4 of their starters now are gone. Of course, you've got Shohei Ohtani not pitching either this year because of Tommy John. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. And that begs the question about the Olympics. My wife and I were talking tonight about the Olympics, and I asked her, her favorite Olympic sport is volleyball. So we'll watch that here in the Gamlin household once the Olympics start here in a couple of weeks at the end of July. We'll watch volleyball. We've got a vested interest in it. My stepdaughter played it in high school, and we like to follow Michigan State volleyball. But other than that, my next question is, do you really care about the Dream Team? Are you going to watch that? Has it lost its luster there? The so-called dominance of American basketball with the NBA. Are you going to watch it? I don't know if I'm going to or not. In kind of a twisted way, I've always, tried to hold out for the amateurs, but we all know that it's not amateurism anymore. College ball is not amateur play anymore with pay to play and whatnot. Or I'm sorry, with the NIL, and now the colleges can pay them. It's it's crazy. Are you going to watch it? Are you going to watch the games? Do you care about the Dream Team at the Olympics? I don't know if I do. I don't know. And talking about the NBA, it just was brought out earlier tonight that it looks like that deal is going to be finalized for the rights to broadcast the NBA. NBC, Amazon Prime, and of course ABC and ESPN, they're all going to team up. 11 years, $76 billion with a B. You wonder how they can pay these people, these players, the exorbitant amount of money that they can pay them. They announced this deal. I'll bet you $1 to a donut. And we've got a fellow 12-ounce sports guy that will probably cringe when he hears this. But this is the kind of money that's going to keep LeBron James playing until he's 45. As long as he can step his feet on the court. Think about it. 30 teams. in the NBA. All right, 76 million. I know it's 11 years, but you do the math, right? That's $2.5 billion for each team. Divide that by 11, they're going to get, 200 million a year just off of TV revenue. It's monopoly money. And I look at it and I think, obviously TNT gets a right to match some of it. I don't know if it matched the Amazon Prime portion of it. It's just mind-boggling. So they're going to have games on Amazon Prime. They're going to have games Monday nights on Peacock. They're going to do playoff games. NBC and Peacock are going to share them. Amazon playoff games. They're going to share conference final games. It's coming. The money is just insane. And we always talk about it. God bless the players for getting the money. But here's the way I look at it. God bless the teams for being able to get the money. If you've got networks that are crazy enough to spend this kind of money to broadcast these games, they got to be making money somehow, right? Or they wouldn't be shelling this out. They're getting the money from the advertisers. So it's just, you could say what you want about America, but it's great to be an American when you can shell out $76 billion for TV rights. It's crazy money. And so you're going to see the $100 million a year player here coming up within 3 years. Guarantee it. And, football's going to be next. Football's king. I mean, they probably see this and they're like, all right, here we go. Which outlet's going to want to sign up for it? So I'm going to have to call Beck after we're done here and say, all right, 12 ounce, where's the billions? Let's go. Let's see if we can't secure the rights to, who knows, Wednesday night NFL football. Maybe if we throw $10 billion at the NFL, maybe we can get them to let us broadcast a Wednesday night game here on 12 Ounce Sports. Why not? Let's try it. Can't hurt, right? So, can you imagine? It's God bless them for getting it, right? $76 billion. Wow. All right, that's going to about do it here for another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. This has been fun. Great conversation with Joe Chapp from JC Sports, talking all things Detroit sports. It's got me fired up for the Lions. Training camp 3 weeks away. Can't wait for that. And then, of course, we've got the Red Wings, talking about them, the moves they made. I like them too. I think the top 6 are going to be very decent for the Red Wings. And, they've they got qualifying offers out to Sider and to Raymond. The core's there for Detroit. They got the good balance. And I like what he said about Kosa. He could be up with Detroit. The young goaltender from Grand Rapids. He's the real deal. And again, I watched Trey Augustine at Michigan State, and if all goes well, we're going to be getting my bride and I are going to be getting season tickets to Michigan State hockey, so we'll get to see more of him, who I think is the future in net for the Detroit Red Wings. So, yeah, we talked about that with Joe, and of course, the Pistons and the Tigers, the two really floundering teams. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. If the Detroit Tigers, if they trade Skubal, I'm done. There will be a moratorium on the Tigers. I will not watch another game until A.J. Hinch and Scott Harris are gone, if Skubal's gone at the deadline. Because the Dodgers are looking at him, the Yankees, the Braves, probably Baltimore, the heavy hitters right now. He's a cornerstone. They can't get rid of Skubal. If they do, I'm done. And, that's it. I want to get back into thinking the Tigers are on the right track. They got some good young arms. They got a foundation going there. They better get a king's ransom. But even if they do trade him, I'm done until Harris and Hinch are gone. That's it. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Enjoy your weekend, by the way. And if you're living here in the mid-Michigan area, Hope everything is safe. I know the weather's not been the greatest. We talked about it with Hurricane Burl, the remnants, all the rain that we've gotten here in Michigan with the flooding and everything. Be safe, everybody. And have a great weekend. Enjoy the nice weather if you've got it. Make sure you hug that special someone and be safe. All right, for Joe Chapp, who joined us here from JC Sports, and for all of you that took the time out tonight to watch us here on 12 Ounce Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network. We'll see you next week for a double dip with Captain Lou's Championship Years in Sports History Tuesday night at 7 o'clock as we continue to look back at 2004. And, of course, Wednesday night with another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza right here on the Captain Lou Sports Network and 12 Ounce Sports. All right, everybody, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving. More importantly, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody.